Thank you so much for being here. Welcome. This is Science with Dr. Karl Live. My name is Lucy Smith. Tonight, I am Dr. Lucy. And before we begin, I want to know who has listened to the segment before? Have we got some day ones? Harder question, who hasn't listened to the segment before? We've got any... Oh, we've got some virgins. Okay, let's go. Well, this is Science with Dr. Karl. This is a segment that has been running on Triple J as a Q&A every Thursday since 1990. Has anyone been around since then? Yeah, okay. And, all right, way too keen. Shortly after that, it then became a podcast, but Dr. Karl has been on air for about 44 years, and I thought, what better time than Triple J's 50th to kind of give him his flowers a little bit and put him to the test in front of a live audience. And you are here to see it all. For the very first time, we are bringing it to the live stage. It's not been done before. This is a big deal. You are a part of history. So I want you to turn to the person on either side of you and say, Peachy Keen. All right? Go for it. Okay, good. All right. That's enough. No. Tonight is all about answering your science questions. So every single question you hear tonight has come from someone in this room. We've got some special guests that are going to be beaming into the show. And we're also going to be testing your science knowledge. So my virgins, you're going to struggle with this one, okay? Yeah, prepare yourself. I'm so excited to get into this. And I do want you to know that you are allowed to hoot and holler. If you hear your question, feel free to give a yell, and know that we're going to be doing about a 15-minute intermission partway through, so you can go get a drink, you can go to the bathroom. There's so much science knowledge being shared tonight. I was thinking before I came on, and I don't know if I can mention this, but a couple of years ago, Genesis Owusu fans broke this floor, and I reckon we're going to do the same thing tonight. You know? There's that much going on here. So should I get him out here? Are you guys ready for Dr. Karl? Yes, okay. The man can answer any question, and if he doesn't know the answer, he'll tell you. He wears shirts brighter than my future. Please welcome the incredible, the national living treasure, Dr. Karl! Dr. Karl. Now, we were just talking about your entry point to Triple J, or 2JJ as it was known then.
Oh, actually, it was a single J. Radio hadn't been invented, and what it was just some guy with a really loud voice shouting in the backyard.
You were there from the beginning. So it was actually a rejection from NASA that got you to Triple J. Take us back there. What happened? What was the timeline?
It was one of my great failures. So in 1981, I wrote a letter to NASA saying, "Hi NASA, my name's Karl. I've got a degree in maths and physics, and I also have a degree in biomedical engineering when I designed and built a machine to pick up electrical signals off the human retina. I left out my period as a drug-crazed hippie, and shortly I'm going to be studying medicine. I'd be really useful on a space shuttle. I do Tai Chi, Taekwondo, Jeet Kune Do, and another martial art called Kempo, and I can pump 70 kilos, and I run the city surf in 60 minutes. Can I be an astronaut? Yours truly, Karl." And they sent me back a letter written on a typewriter, signed by a human being, which said, "We're all full up and we don't employ anybody who's not American, see you later." And I felt, oh, so sad. And then I heard that Triple J was doing a show on the year of transport, and specifically about the space shuttle, which I had been reading up on, and I love the space shuttle to pieces. So I rang up the radio station and I said, "I hear you're doing something on the space shuttle. I know an awful lot about that. I've applied to be an astronaut. Can I come in and talk about it?" And Tony Barrell said, "Sure, come in." So I came in and started talking to him. And then he said, "Oh, look, hang on a sec, we'll just go out the back room and we'll keep on talking." And he started the tape recorder going in the microphone, and I kept on talking. I didn't know it, but that was actually my entrance exam into the ABC, because I didn't freeze up. And then we talked about it, and he said, "Look, come in and we'll do the first launch." So I came in on the night, and it was about to go ahead, the launch, and then suddenly, cancel, there was a problem with the fuel cell, and everybody looks at each other, and we've got to fill this dead radio air, and people looking around saying, "What's a fuel cell?" I said, "Well, actually, a fuel cell is a box that turns that turns gas into electricity. It has no moving parts apart from the gas. It gives you electricity and water. It was invented nearly 2 centuries ago, 1839, by Sir William Grove.
Wow.
And then they were very happy with that, and we closed down the night. Came back a week later to do the actual launch, did the launch and took off. Out the back having a cup of hippie tea. And Tony Barrell said, I need this hippie tea to clean my kidneys. And I couldn't stand any misinformation or disinformation even back then. I said, sorry, Tony, to disagree with you, but your kidneys, it's the other way around. Your kidneys filter 200 kilograms of blood every day, a fifth of a tonne, and at vast metabolic cost, they pull out half a kilogram of sodium and put it all practically back in, except for a small amount that goes out in your urine, because God made a mistake, and we humans are fish gone wrong. And he said, we need you for a show called Great Moments in Science, and that's how it began.
That was your second audition. So while we're kind of in this era, I would love to look back at some of the photos of you around that time. You talked about, your hippie stage. Can we get the archive up here?
Okay, so...
Now, I did have a hand in the photo selection, and I wonder why, with these ones. Dr. Karl.
Okay, so on the right, I'm...
Daddy, who said it? That is what, Karl, know that if you uploaded this in the year of our Lord 2025, that would be a thirst trap.
Whoa.
You were hot. What's going
Darling.
on?
Notice, were. Today I look like a badly packed sack of potatoes, but you're very kind. Okay, so on the right, I've got a degree in physics. I'm 19 years old. I'm working at the steelworks. I'm testing the steel for the bridge that for the steel goes into the Westgate Bridge, and the steel is not made strong enough. Separately, the bridge falls down. But that's me trying to make myself looking interesting by growing a beard. Didn't work. Then in the middle, that's me. I almost invented the hipster thing, but the big mistake I made was that when I'm drinking drinks with bubbles in them, I didn't like beer. I didn't like coffee. I like milk, and we know nowadays from all the woke people or the influences that milk causes cancer and has no calcium, apparently. And so everything went wrong at the steelworks. They wouldn't allow me to publish my results, so I went up to New Guinea, and that's me as a part-time Jesus figure in New Guinea.
Well, strong bowels with the milkshake, though. That's the good sign, I think. So let's go to the hippie era. So... there we are.
Okay.
Look at that.
The one on the left is... I used to think that corduroy shirts were cool. I still do.
They are.
And there I am, a flower-munching hippie. And the one on the right, you guys today don't know how easy you have it, because today vaping machines are about this big. Look how big a vaping machine is there. It's huge. No, actually, that was me starting my career in cameras and making films. And in 1982, we set up Australia's first cable TV network up at Nimbin with a kilometre of cable that I brought up.
Good location, yeah.
Yeah.
It fits into the pipeline, yeah. Do you guys want to see a baby photo of Dr. Karl? Like a younger photo? Run it. Look at him! Isn't he so cute? Nothing has changed. Look at your facial expression. See? So cute.
I think like I'm in the beginning my career as being perpetually bewildered by the world around me.
Yeah, just the eyebrows.
What's going on? Well, why is it like this? Why is the sky blue instead of green?
Yeah.
Why isn't it red? All these questions.
That's where the curiosity started. And let's talk present day. So you did Great Moments in Science. You went in with a topical story. Let's erase the last 40 plus years of being on the ABC. If you were to walk into Triple J now and we were doing Great Moments in Science, what story would you pitch this week?
This came through only a few weeks ago. Cancer cells grow like crazy, and they seem to have access to huge amounts of energy, and only in the last few weeks have we discovered that cancer cells, some of them, we don't know for all of them, only some, they, from their bodies, extrude what looks like a thin drinking straw and then find the nearest nerve and suck out all the mitochondria, which make energy, into themselves so they can go really fast. And you think, okay, that's cool. But then you think for a bit, how did they learn this? Okay, they just did trial and error. How do they pass it on? So if there's a cancer in this person, that person dies, how does a new cancer in that person know? I think it's airdrop.
Don't.
Okay, it's evolution. I lied to you.
And the segment itself, like I said, Q&A format started in 1990 with Angela Caddens. And this was something that obviously the different formats that people could send in their questions, it's evolved over time. Is there a question over the segment's 35-year history that keeps you up at night that you just have never gotten to the bottom of?
Why is pubic hair curly?
Yeah. We still get that to this day.
Is it a shock absorber? Is it to provide greater surface area to get the fumes out there? And why do some people apparently from some of the Asian countries have straight pubic hair and yet they have babies? It doesn't make sense. There's so much to know. So many questions, so little time.
So we've talked about pubic hair, cancer, why the sky is blue. Just know that that's how tonight is going to go. Dr. Karl, there have been many iterations of you, and we're going to learn some of those tonight. But this year we had a new iteration, which is, for the first time, the Dr. Karl, one-of-a-kind, Dr. Karl Bobblehead Bobbleniski.
Bobbleniski?
Run the...
Oh my God!
So Dr. Karl had a 3D figurine printed, if you will. What in fresh hell is that?
Wow.
That is the stuff of nightmares. Talk us through it.
Well, firstly, it seems to be colour matched with the big guy as well. And then, so what they do is they flash laser beams at you, and we are talking amazing amounts of super high technology. We're talking like $1 million worth of technology.
You'll be so still.
And you don't breathe.
He does not move.
Being able to smile and keep still is very important. And then they make it go backwards and forwards. They lay it up atom by atom, and it used to be PLA, polylactic acid, but now the technology has really advanced, and there's some sort of white stuff, which I don't know what it is, but this is some waxy sort of stuff, and they're scraping it. I'm wearing gloves because I have to, and then you scrape it off, and then there I am underneath, and the dimensions are really accurate, and because I'm obsessively neat, I have to clean up.
He always cleans up after himself as well.
I do like the pants. Nice pants. Thank you, Dain. Right. And then, and this technology today is called printing, 3D printing, and instead of getting something big and removing what you don't want, you start with something small and you work your way up. And they're actually, they've 3D printed something the size of your skull from metal, which can withstand temperatures of 1,000 degrees C and wind at 1,000 kilometres per hour. And what that unit is made of metal, and you take a whole factory the size of this floor to make it, is a pump that squirts out jet fuel, and it's inside the jet engine.
Wow.
It's getting the 1,000 degrees C and the 1,000 kilometres per hour wind. And it costs only $250,000 only, as opposed to $5 million. So 3D printing is heading into our lives, and in maybe 10, 15 years, you'll be able to print your next phone at home.
Crazy.
From individual atoms.
Well, before we are able to print our own things at home, who would like to potentially win the one-of-a-kind Dr. Karl Bobbleniski bobblehead? Anyone?
Whoa.
All right. Well, you have the opportunity to win this because we are about to put your Science with Dr. Karl knowledge to the test. Dr. Karl, are you ready?
Hang on. We're asking them.
Yes!
Right on!
We're seeing
Let's
how
do it.
well you can answer. Dr. Karl, I've made him question master as well for this.
Ah.
So we are doing a game of heads or hips.
Ah.
And it's very simple. I will ask a question, as will Karl. Option A will be heads, and option B will be hips. Okay. Now, you've probably played this sort of wedding. We don't want it to go on too long, so there'll be a decider round at the end. But if I could ask you all to stand if you are able to, and we will get this thing going. And I want to be able to see all of you as well. Oh my God, there are so many of you. All right. And of course, if you are wrong, you take a seat. If you are correct, you keep standing. Are we ready to go? Yeah? Feeling good. Okay, first question. The great philosopher Frank Zappa said your what is your main sex organ? A, brain, B, skin. A or B? You're all thinking really hard. I love that. 3, 2, 1. The answer is A, your brain. If you had B, sit down. Dr. Karl?
Okay,
All right.
so bring up the next question. And it says here, we're talking, I believe, chemistry.
Should be really easy, right?
Oh my God. Okay, 2FeO plus C gives 2Fe plus CO2 plus absolute shirtloads of energy. So it has a process of making steel, which is for the head, or aluminium, or aluminum as the Americans foppishly call it, for the hips. Okay, heads, hips, okay, right.
3,
Bit of a scattering
2,
there, yep.
1.
Right.
Okay. Some of you are still up and you look scared. Okay. Question 3. At 28 years old, Dr. Karl, A, learnt to drive and how to eat a pawpaw, or B, learnt to swim and how to eat a mango. A or B? What are you thinking? 3, 2, 1. The answer. My man learned how to eat a mango.
And by the way, you don't eat a mango with your mouth, you eat it with your whole face.
Whole face. Yeah. Next question is the one thing that Dr. Karl does not know. What is the Triple J text line number? Is it A, 0439 757 7555, or B, or 0409 757 7555? A or B? Dr. Karl, do you want to let me know, or?
It's normally prefaced like, we really need a forensic veterinary endocrinologist. What's the magic number they should ring?
What's the magic number for the policy? It is 0439 757 7555 if you're on heads. Oh my God, how are we going? Okay. Dr. Karl?
Okie dokie. The environmental lapse rate refers to the rate at which the temperature of the surrounding atmosphere drops as you go higher in the sky. What is the average rate in your average sort of moistish air? 6.5 degree drop in air temperature per kilometre up, or 3.5 degrees C drop per kilometre up?
6.5, 3.5.
Phone a friend, okay.
3, 2, 1, lock it in. All right. And I hope you're all remembering these answers, okay? There will be a test.
There will be an exam at the end, and I'm expecting you to get 80%, okay?
All right. We're down to our last few. Okay. How many people are we down to now? We've got okay. Let me see if we can drop out a few more. Dr. Karl has said the most complicated action we can do as humans is what? A, speech, or B, dreaming? Speech or dreaming? The answer, it is speech.
Whoa.
Where are we left?
It can take up to the adolescent years of 12 before you can clearly enunciate all the words and the sounds in any particular language.
This might be our last question, Dr. Karl, so go for it.
Australian planetary scientist, Dr. Adrian Brown at NASA, gave the Perseverance Mars rover, so that's the 1-ton, 6-wheeled, nuclear-powered vehicle on Mars. The Perseverance Mars rover, what nickname? And the options are head for Perso and hips for Percy.
So imagine Perso or Percy. He's an Australian. He takes a lot of pride in this one. A or B? It is B, Percy. I think we are down to our last few. So this next one is the decider, and it's going to be a numerical option. And your job is to yell the answer at me. So if you're louder than the rest, well... And you could win that Dr. Karl Bobblenitsky bobblehead. There's a lot at stake here. You guys realise that, right? Let's go. the decider. Bananas have a radioactivity in them due to an isotope of potassium called potassium-40. Stay with me here. To the closest ton, what amount of bananas would kill you in one sitting? To the closest ton. So we'll start you here, sir. 1.
1 ton.
2. Oh,
Two.
come on. Are you up the back there? Yell it out. 50 million.
Okay, we've got our limits now.
Yeah.
Now we need the
Hang on,
first
hang on, hang on.
approximation.
7 tons? 14.
Well, there's a few people upstairs as well.
8
8
tons. Okay.
And
And then you there, striped shirt. 3.
there. And
Oh, and then over here. 15.
anybody we missed out? Somebody, they're pointing at somebody, yep. How many? 8, yep.
Is that everyone? So, 1.5. All right. Who was the kid who said... Who was the kid who said 100?
Hooray!
Babe! Yes! Can I be so real with you? It was between the kid who said 100 and the other kid who said 15 billion or whatever the hell. Because the answer, the amount of bananas that would kill you in one sitting from that potassium-40 is 3,500 tons of bananas. So I guess what I'm saying is you're safe, you're not going to die from bananas, it's all good, but you are our winner. Give them a round of applause. Yes. The bobblehead will be waiting for you at the merch desk. And hold on, don't sell it on eBay or anything later on in life. That is for you and you only. Are we ready to get into some science questions? Let's go. Take a seat. Okay, Dr. Karl.
Yo.
Remember, if this is your question, feel, woo, you know. Okay.
So yell out woo when your question is read out.
Yes. Dr. Karl.
Good one. They can tell the future.
Dr. Karl, if you could improve one anatomical feature of the human body, what would you change and why?
I was about to say the knee joint because it sucks.
Why? Why does it suck?
Mate, the hip joint I like. It's a ball that goes into a socket. It's got inherent structural stability, where the knee joint, mate, you get one shallow soup bowl and you put another one on top of it, and then you get another pair like that and you have them side by side and they make up one knee joint, and then you're thinking it's going to fall a bit, so you get some gaffer tape and you put some down here, some down there, some at the front, some at the back, in between, and you'll see these people limping off the field, and the news commentators will nod wisely to each other and say, you know, Dr. Lucy, I think we're seeing an anterior cruciate ligament injury there. And they're right. No, but as I said that, I suddenly thought, neuroplasticity of the brain. You see, when you're a kid, you can learn a new language at the speed of summer lightning, but as you get older, you lose that ability. And I think it'd be really good that if you could control it and turn on your neuroplasticity, like, I want to learn Mongolian in 2 weeks. Bingo, you just turn it on. Or I want to heal an injury in a nerve, because if you cut a nerve, you sort of stuff. But on the other hand, there could be disadvantages to it. Like, instead of just going down the reflex path of there's a lion shouting coming at me or a killer rabbit, I will run. You'll go, you are in fact a killer rabbit, but how come? Oh, I'm dead, right? But that's the one I'd go for, neuroplasticity that we could control for the human brain.
Why do we get lumps in our throat when we're emotional? What is it really?
If we're emotional and something's happening and you're being emotional at me, I will respond to you emotionally, but how can I put adoring adoration forever through the air? So instead, I'll try and do it through muscles. So you do it through the muscles in this part of your body, and especially around the head and neck, and just around here, you've got the junction between the esophagus, where the food goes down, and the pharynx. You've got a little sort of sphincter there, and the pipes are just full of nerves that give you sensation of the food going down and also control of muscular activity. And they get a bit overwrought and they sort of form a lump. You say, hang on, how can they form a lump? Well, this is a little diversion, but my favourite Australian animal is the echidna. It's a marsupial, right? You agree it's a marsupial? Right, it's a marsupial, therefore it has a pouch. It doesn't have a pouch.
Oh.
How can a marsupial, which has a pouch, not have a pouch? Because having the muscle skill of Arnold Schwarzenegger, when it delivers the tiny egg the size of a 5-cent coin, it then magically folds the muscles on its tummy to create a fake pouch that's going to sit there for 200 days, and the little puggle, about the size of a red jelly bean, and also there's no nipple. So somehow the puggle, a cute name, knows exactly where to scratch on the tummy, and it scratches, and now comes this milk straight through the wall. So getting back to here, the way you respond is by this sort of fake muscle activity, which is a pale shadow of what the echidna can do.
Why? Why does crying then relieve that lump then? You know, if you get emotional and then you start crying, it kind of makes it go away.
Crying does work, and it'll work in the short term to make it go away, because I don't know why, but emotionally, crying works only if you're with friends who will come up and cuddle you, because if you're in the middle of battle and you start crying, they'll say, let me just chop your head off, thank you very much. So I don't know why. Wow, why does it? It does. Is there a endocrinological physiologist with regard to, or an ophthalmologist here? An endocrinological ophthalmologist here? If not, what's the number they should ring again?
They should 0439 757 444.
Yeah, what she said.
Next question. Of all the creatures on Earth, why did humans evolve so quickly?
We've evolved. So 7,000, 8,000 years ago in around Hungary, we evolved the ability to digest lactose, and now that's spread across the world. So 1/3 of the world can have a cup of milk, and 2/3 can't. If they do, they get what we euphemistically call the squirts.
And we know that he can from the milkshake photo, right?
Yeah.
You're in the...
And we've also evolved, humans have shifted into 3 high-altitude areas of Ethiopia, Tibet and South American mountains, and evolved 3 completely different pathways. And we've also evolved cures against malaria as we've moved into those areas. So what we've got is natural evolution happening combined with the fact that we're groups, and we get the knowledge and we share it, and then it goes into a feedback loop. So you get lactose, so you can start drinking milk, and then that changes how your habitus, how your body goes, and your hormones, and so then you change your behaviour, and then you end up becoming a moderately dominant species, because if you can't drink milk and you've got a cow, what do? Is you kill the cow and you've got enough meat for a year and then it's gone. But if you can drink milk, you can drink the milk, you get as much energy from eating the meat, and it is something that it doesn't fight you for, and it's still there after 1 year. So the combination of having knowledge that we acquire and then spread through our groups help that fast evolution go.
You mentioned the brain earlier.
Yep.
Next question. Does our brain make all of our decisions for us? And how in control are we really of our choices?
Moderately in control. There's a scary Libet experiment, which goes back to the 1960s, where they said to a bunch of people, what we want you to do is just sit here, and at a certain time, and any time in the next 5 minutes, you decide to lift your finger. Now, half a minute, 1 minute from now, you decide to lift your finger. And by the way, there's a bunch of lights running around this dial. When you decide to lift your finger, which will happen before you lift your finger, just keep an eye on that clock and then think, okay, I decided when it was at 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock as it goes around. And the weird thing is you'd expect that when you decided to lift your finger, the light would flash, and a little bit later you'd lift your finger. Something in your brain decided before you thought you knew. So before you think, I'm going to lift my finger, suddenly there's this flurry of activity, and then you think, I will obey. I will now lift my finger. So on one hand, that's sort of arguing against free will, and the philosophers go crazy on that. But basically, to get that out of the way, mostly we're driven by our brain, but that's not the whole figure because you're driven by our environment. And so you might be walking down the street and then you see a handy $50 note just waiting for you. So you'll bend down and pick it up, and you're not going by your brain decision. It's sort of like an emotional thing. Well, okay, that's part of the brain. I'm trying to think of a physical thing. Okay, suppose the wind starts blowing really hard and the rain starts falling on you, then you'll run into shelter. But then that's your brain as well. I don't know.
Jury's
it's too
out on that
hard.
one.
Anything with the brain is too hard.
Well, this actually leads in quite well to our next question, and this one comes beaming into the show from a former mornings host.
Beaming?
Yes, Mel in the Mornings.
Mel
Dr. Mel
Bampton.
Bampton, a former host of Science with Dr. Karl. So let's get into it. And she's here tonight as well.
Where are you, Mel?
Thank you for your question.
Hey, Mel.
Let's get into it.
You're a surfer, right?
Yes.
Can you swim?
Sort of.
10 years ago, she couldn't swim. What sort of person gets on a board and swims out where there's sharks and big waves and can't swim? You rock, Dr. Mel.
Dr. Mel, let's run it.
Hello, Dr. Karl. Happy anniversary. Dr. Mel here. Now, can you tell me why so much information comes to the surface of my mind in the moments when I don't need it, but when I need particular pieces of information, it seems like the information no longer exists? As an example, at night, when I finally get to the couch and I want to watch one of the many movies that I've thought about watching many times, and as soon as I'm sitting in front of the telly, I can no longer remember any of them.
Wow.
Classic.
Okay, we've discovered weird things about memory just in the last few years. So it happens in the hippocampus, and there was a guy called HC or something. Was it HC? Are there any neurophysiologists here? Who lost his hippocampus and from that day forward could not lay down any new memories. So the scientists went looking at the hippocampus and they started doing experiments with mice thinking about things that you and I cannot remember what happened to us when we were under the age of 3. And so they got some mice and they trained them to run through a maze when they were very young. And then when they were adults, they completely forgot how to do it. And then they got some more mice and they looked at their brains and they saw that they were laying down networks in their brain while they were still alive. These are called engrams, which unfortunately is the same name that the Scientologists use to designate a bad thought. They call these networks engrams, and then they labelled them with chemicals that could light up, and then they got the mice to run through as a child, and then they tried to begin when they were adults, and then they activated those neurons with a light from outside, and suddenly they could remember. Now, I'm not suggesting you do brain surgery, but what you can do is put yourself into a pathway. So you might go, I want to remember that movie, I'll scratch myself on the chin all the time, and that's kind of messy. Have you got a phone where you can write down all the movies you like? Or pencil and paper?
So what we're saying, Mel, write a list.
Write a list or condition yourself into it. And you can train yourself to memorise 100 places of pi really easily if you get the book and do the course. Over to you, Dr. Mel.
Okay. Well, I guess on that note, we have a follow-up question from Zoe. Now, Zoe is not only a scientist herself, but plays in the Sydney band The Boys.
The Boys.
And the boys are here tonight.
Hello, boys.
So on that note of memory of the brain, let's take it away from Dr. Zoe.
Hey, Dr. Karl. It's Zoe from The Boys, and today my question is on memory in the modern age. Because I see it in the news all the time now, things like short-form video content and AI are frying our brains, and I just want to know, is that true? Asking for a friend, of course. But are we seeing changes in the way that memory is stored generationally? You know, could my memory be worse than my parents' and my grandparents' because of how I engage with modern technology? I hope not. But if so, are there things that we can do to keep those parts of our brains nice and healthy? Keen to hear what you have to say. All right. Thanks, Doc.
So the first thing, Dr. Zoe, where are you, Dr. Zoe? She's here somewhere beaming out in space.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
So firstly, each generation is 9 IQ points smarter than the generation before it. This is known as the Flynn effect, discovered by Dr. Flynn when he looked at the medical records of people taking the American military where they measured their IQ points from 1932 going onwards, because for Americans the way they learn geography is by invading another country. And And so he found this rise in both, and the British too, they beat the Americans, and he found this rise in IQ of 9 points per generation in American military, then in American civilians and civilians all around the world. So on one hand, you are smarter than your parents and your grandparents, and you are being exposed to different information. So when you're doing, I might have done this myself occasionally, doom scrolling, and you're looking at the videos, you are getting not just, oh, there's this and there's that, you are getting the very best 90 seconds or 30 seconds of a 2-hour movie. And it's followed by another one and another one. So you're just getting high point after high point after high point, and you're not getting the chance to come down. So what's happening, you're getting used to high-level excitation, and you're potentially losing what we call creative boredom, where there's nothing going on, and you're just sitting there, and then suddenly you think, why is the sky blue instead of green? Or what if I try this riff instead of that riff? And so you need a balance. Now, there have been papers that said, and this sort of stuff goes back 5,000 years, where the older generation complained about the younger generation, and the first lot was, they're doomed, they're going to hell in a handbasket, and they won't even be able to tie their shoelaces, followed by, well, maybe that research is not so good. And now it's sort of moved back into, there's something going on, but we don't know what it is, and they're evolving to the world that is becoming very different. Is it a good or a bad thing? Don't know, but on the other hand, I do love creative boredom.
So, hang on, and also back to Mel's question as well, I just thought of something. So, what if you do have a list, maybe in the back catalogue of your brain, and then you get in front of the platform, you get in front of what you're doing, what is it when you just draw a blank?
It's the stress, the hormones interfere. So you've got the hippocampus, which is involved with the memory, and you've got your prefrontal cortex, and they're both affected by the chemicals of stress. So you might think, there's a car coming at me from the left and the right, but now's the time for me to do some mindfulness, and let me just withdraw. So if you've got the time to put yourself into a different mindset, you can then have it coming back. So if you try not to remember, if you just say, I want to know this, and you forget, you'll be fine. So on one occasion, my wife and I loved doing the crossword, and she said to me, what is the answer to Second World War Burmese freedom fighters? And I suddenly flashed back to a memory of myself curled in a large armchair reading the Reader's Digest, if you remember what that was, the world's most popular magazine once, when they had 30 stories, one per day for a month. And I was curled up in an armchair, and I read about this group of people, and I couldn't remember their name. And I said, okay, I know what it is, it'll come to me in a while. And then after about 4 minutes, suddenly my lungs did something, my mouth opened, and out came the word chindit, which I had never said in my entire life. So maybe just thinking about something else, like, is it worthwhile learning to swim if you're riding really big killer waves with the bra boys?
Now, you mentioned doom scrolling, you mentioned short form content. I feel like that may be the answer to this next question from Dr. Naomi Kobelik. Take it away.
Hey, Dr. Karl, it's Dr. Naomi Kobelik here, your favourite biracial, bisexual, bimbo biologist, and Rufus. And our question is, why do men take so long on the toilet? And this is a question that Rufus also has, because he uses the human toilet. I know, my son's very smart.
Okay, so with the sample size that we have here, ladies, whose man is taking forever on the toilet? Or anyone? Are we...
Okay, yeah, let's do a survey. House lights up. Okay, who reckons that men spend more time on the toilet?
Okay.
Who reckons that men don't spend more time on the toilet? I reckon about 80% of the audience is deeply confused about where they stand on this issue. I'm putting it down to a combination of wanting to read something on the toilet, and you can sneak in a little magazine, and that runs out, but there's an infinity of stuff on your phone, so they spend longer there. That's one reason. The other thing is there's a lot of men who are going into this whole muscle thing and eating all this protein, like, whey powder, and you say, so you're eating lots of protein? Yeah. And how's the vegetables going? What? Vegetable? They're fibre? No. Well, how do you spell that? And so I'm putting it down to a low vegetable diet plus lots of time on the toilet plus I don't know.
Have you ever smelt the byproduct of protein?
No, tell me about it.
Bruh, you don't want to.
Oh my God.
Awful.
So this is a really high protein diet.
It's just, It makes me wonder if it's worth it, you know?
It's amazing what they do to their bodies when they're really pushing. I met one guy who, after getting down to really a beautiful body, and he was just gorgeous with no body fat. Firstly, he had been dehydrated and hadn't been drinking for 24 hours. And then also, if he stood up suddenly, he'd faint. If he had a shower, he would faint, and he couldn't think clearly, but he looked gorgeous. And then after he did the competition, he put on, wait for it, in 3 days, 12 kilograms.
Wow.
Most of that was water because he had lots of carbohydrate, and the carbohydrate turns into glycogen, which sits in your muscle, and for each kilogram of glycogen, you got 2 kilograms of water, so he must have put on maybe 3 kilograms of carbohydrate, and then just fat, and he just guzzled it. 12 kilograms in 3 days.
It's crazy.
Can't be good for you.
But
he was beautiful.
We're going to switch topics. We're going to switch up the topics now. We've chatted the human body.
Yep.
Now we've gotten some questions that are kind of getting more into the universe, into the land. Next one.
Yep.
Why are all grains of sand the same size? Surely there must be some larger or smaller than others.
I have thought about this. It turns out that there's roughly as many stars in the universe as there are grains of sand on all of the beaches on Earth. And because I couldn't help myself, I started reading up on sand. So sand ranges in size from 2 millimetres to about 60 times smaller. So from 2 millimetres down to 0.2, that's 0.06, I think. Is that roughly right? Anybody can do mathematics? I'm terrible at mathematics. But what sand does do in any particular area, it gets sorted. It gets sorted by the wind, it gets sorted by the waves. And so it comes in a whole huge variety of sizes, but where you are, they tend to have been sorted. But that's on the surface. If you dig down, you'll see a different range of sizes.
Wow.
And then we're having the sand wars right now.
What do you mean?
Okay. The tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa. Why do they build it out of Australian sand rather than Arabian sand? And the answer is the sand in the deserts has been moved. Has anybody ever waxed a car? So if you polish something at high speed but with low stress, it's very smooth. So that's how you wax a car, high speed, low stress. But then those grains of sand are very round, the sands from the desert. But the sand from the water, underwater, has been ground at low speed with high pressure, and they've used up all that sand in the Middle East, from the Red Sea and everywhere around. They had to come to Australia to get our under-ocean sand to build it. So there are sand wars going on around the world where bad things are happening to them. Read about them in my story, ABC, Dr. Karl, Sand Wars.
Okay, subtle plug.
Subtle plug. It's free. It won't cost you anything. It's a free thing. Anyway, sand is a big thing.
What would happen to a helium balloon on the moon? Does it float away or stay still?
There's no there's virtually no atmosphere. There are still bits of the Earth's atmosphere out of the moon, but hardly any at all. So what would happen to the balloon? The balloon is made of, we'll say, rubber, and it's got atoms in it, so it has mass. And then the helium gas has atoms, so therefore it has mass. And there's no lifting force, there's no buoyancy thing, no Archimedes thing. Archimedes, by the way, was born in Sicily. He wasn't a Greek guy. So there's no lifting force, so it will have a mass, so it'll just sit on the surface. It will not rise. But secondly, it has a pressure inside, and there's virtually no pressure outside, so it will expand until the pressure on the inside pushing out is balanced by the internal strength of the rubber. And if the rubber is strong enough, it will go to a certain size and stay there, and if the rubber is not strong enough, it'll burst and then go away.
Wow.
So it will not float, it'll just sit there on the surface.
Okay. While we're in space, last year we were lucky enough to have on the show Australia's first female astronaut, and she sent in a question for us tonight. Catherine, yeah.
Catherine, hyphenated name.
Yeah, Bennell Pegg.
Yeah, that's her. Yes. Okay. Lay her on.
Hi, Dr. Karl. It's Australian astronaut Catherine Bennell Pegg here at the Australian Space Agency. My question for you is, we know that the universe is huge and made up of minuscule parts. How big and how small can we really imagine things to be?
Okay, with how big, there's 3 sizes of universe. There's the Hubble limit, about 15 billion light years away, where the expansion of the universe carries things away at the speed of light. So once they go over that, we can no longer see them. Then there's the observable universe, which is about 43.5 billion years away. There are objects that were there in the past, and they emitted light towards us, and it's already crossed the Hubble limit and is landing in our telescopes right now. And then there's the infinite universe, and we don't know much about it because it's so big. Then down to the very small, apparently at the Planck, P-L-A-N-C-K limit, 10 to the minus 35, so 0.3401, or 35 zeros, I don't know, of a metre, the universe turns into little lumps, apparently. We haven't got there. When we get there, we'll find out interesting stuff. There might be more turtles underneath that, and it could be turtles all the way down.
Dr. Karl, what is your favourite sports team?
I have family loyalty, and so my daughters love the, am I allowed to say Sydney Swans?
Yeah.
Okay, the Sydney Swans.
Yeah.
They can recognise the individual players by their arm muscles.
Yeah.
Therefore, I have no choice as a loving father but to have them as my favourite team.
Alice just needs to see the arm muscle and then she knows who each player is. It's crazy. Well, we've got one of them to ask you a question.
Oh my God, yes.
Hey, Dr. Karl, it's Errol Goulden here from the Sydney Swans. I wanted to ask you a question. My question is, we think that the universe is constantly expanding. I want to know, where is the universe expanding to? Is it expanding into, I guess, more space, or where is it expanding from? And also, what do we think is beyond what we can currently observe in the universe? Is it something different or much of the same? Thank you.
Oh my God. We are mental brothers under the skin. Wow. Mate, you've got such highbrow questions coming from... Yeah. Okay, so... Actually, at one stage on Triple J... On Triple J at one stage, I had Kip Thorne, who won a Nobel Prize for black holes, and we had Roger Penrose, who won a Nobel Prize in physics also, and we had a fantastic show and they were answering all sorts of questions. Then somebody came in with a question that was really deep, and it just went on, and so if you're looking at the Kerr matrix with regard to the dielectric expansion of the Schrodinger effect with regard to the expansion of black holes and their rotating blah, 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 and it went on, and it was all coherent. And they looked at each other. It was sort of like they ignored us, the host, and Zan and me. They looked at each other and they said, and they said, look, are you trying to get us to do your PhD for you? And he replied, no, mate, I'm just a fucking forky. To answer his question, I've asked several people, this has bothered me too, we're under the skin, and so I've asked Nobel Prize winners, like the person who discovered the universe is expanding and won a Nobel Prize for that, and all the clever people in physics. And the overall answer is, it's expanding into the future. We don't know. Why don't you look over there at that monkey and walk in the other direction? This is where the theoreticians start writing things down, and we don't know what it's expanding into.
Well, what about this? If the universe continues expanding...
Yep.
Will all stars become far enough away to turn invisible? Could we have a starless night sky?
Yes, so we do have a thing called the expansion of the universe. So the universe forms and then it begins to coalesce, and then it starts expanding at thousands of times the speed of light, because the fabric of space-time can do that. It can expand at much faster than the speed of light. And then it slowed down, and then about 5 billion years ago it began to expand faster. This is called the dark energy. So if the dark energy increases, and we're not sure whether it will or not, but certainly the universe will expand. Things that are gravitationally bound to each other, their force is stronger, the gravity force is stronger than the dark force or the dark energy pushing them out. And so we in our solar system will still see the planets, we'll still see the stars in our galaxy, and our galaxy is gravitationally bound to the Andromeda galaxy, but everything outside that will go into black. But if the dark energy keeps on increasing, not the dark force, the dark energy, too much Harry Potter, it'll get to the stage where not only will the sky go black, but then atoms themselves will be torn asunder. Mm-hmm. And at the moment we don't know which way it's going to go. But it won't happen next week, so make sure you do your homework.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And pay your bills and put the super in and everything.
Yeah. Dr. Karl, are you ready to come back here in about 15 minutes and answer more questions?
Oh, yes, indeed.
Let's do it. All right. BRB.
Oh, thank you.